Welcome to another episode of War Hero to Superhero, helping military, veterans, and first responders transform their lives from the bedroom to the boardroom. We are in the Superhero Battle Room. I have never pressed one of these buttons, but if you have, you know there's a lot of power when you press one of these buttons. And that's the same thing that we have as our guest, Katherine Ramirez. She's gone over and not just transformed her life just by school or education or just a job. She's transformed her life into a business, and she wants to share that knowledge with you to go over and thrive. And you'll get to hear her voice echo across the world on the Easy Way Network, Roku, Facebook, YouTube, everything else, because that's where we broadcast. So if you don't like one station and you're not a Facebook fan, go to YouTube. You can listen to this message too. But Katherine's going to go share that message, and we're going to have her on. And questions. Always a dialogue, never a monologue, because I'm tired of talking to myself. So that's why I bring on guests, right? So we're going to bring her in, and she's going to bring the excitement, because I only can stay energized for 25 minutes. So we're going to go in. Hey, Katherine, how you doing?
Hey, Daniel, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I feel so special.
Yeah, and we try to go over and set up the room for you. So hopefully you have enough buttons to press.
Awesome. And I'm representing too, because I got the American flag.
There you go. It's beautiful. I might need to go use that occasionally. So I'll have to borrow your virtual background.
Absolutely.
So I'd love you to tell you your war hero story. How long were you in service, and how was it when you actually got out?
Okay. So I went into the Air Force. That was the service I represented, the Air Force. And I joined it right after high school. So it was interesting because I knew when I was in high school, I was going to go into the military. It was already like dead set. This wasn't like, last minute or anything like that. I had wanted it, and for some reason, it was like my calling. So as soon as I graduated high school, I went and I talked to a bunch of recruiters, and I enlisted without my parents' knowledge, and that was the other thing. I freaked out my mom because I enlisted, and she was shocked when I went, because I already had moved out. I was in graduated high school, and she was shocked. She was like, "What?" And so I said goodbye to her, and I went, and I was so excited. It was going to be a lifer, but I only spent 4 years in the military. But I really enjoyed it because it did a lot of things. I grew up as a Hispanic person, and so it really took me out of my shell. So where did you get out of that? Oh, what did you're going into what you're talking about. Yeah. So I loved it because I learned how to be independent. I learned about priorities. I learned about, being teamwork, I mean, like I think about all the things that I am today as an entrepreneur. Those were all the skills that I learned in the military. So I'm so grateful for it because it really gives you a sense of responsibility and about being humble and about, depending on each other to work together as a team. Those are all traits from the military, but also prioritizing, and knowing, hey, I have a list of jobs to do and I got to do them. And so how do I get them done in a certain amount of time that I have allocated so they get done because someone else is depending on me. And if I don't get them done, then they can't do their job, So the military was really what opened my eyes to being the person that I am, but also exposing me to a lot of being an independent person, I would say, probably as a female entrepreneur, and being a goal setter as well, because you're set forth all these goals of what you're trying to achieve in the military, whether it's the next rank or it is the next ribbon, because ribbons are popular in the military, and so any of those things. So it really did set me out to strive on goals, and really set myself forward on that. So that's what I got out of it.
You're more blue than me. I did 20 years and you've done 4, and you're like,
well, the job that I have, and this is what I loved. The job that I had was the Minuteman missile. So I was, underground, and I worked with the 2 officers that, turned the key. That was their job. Their job was to turn the key. Yep, just like that. And so it was a very intense job because in my work, it was 3 days on, 3 days off. We were remote. We didn't know where we were going every time that we went remote. And our responsibility was to man these missiles and to protect the officers, because if something happened, thank God nothing happened. Their job was to set off those nukes and, launch them. And, you don't think about how heavily responsible you are then when you're a kid out of high school. You don't really realize how much pressure that is until you're done with it and you look back and you're like, holy shit, if those nukes would have went, or if something would have happened, to the two officers that their responsibility was to launch those, wow, that's a big deal. That's a really big deal. And so I think a lot of that from the military, you don't really know what the moment that you're in it, especially as a young, military person, until you reflect or you leave the military, and then you understand and you have this value for, your independence, your freedom, for all the things that people do when they're serving, So
I totally
it's
agree
very
with that.
enriching.
So how was it when getting out? Was it enriching to go to the civilian world, or was it a hard transition?
So I would say that you got really comfortable in having the teamwork. You get really comfortable in having people have your back. I think if I missed anything, I miss that whole feel, that family feel of, somebody has your back. Somebody is looking out for you, or you're looking out for that person, So it's a lot of trust, a lot of loyalty, a lot of chain of command, that you get, that stuff. Whereas when I transitioned out, I did two things. I got a job that was waitressing, just to get me through college. So waitressing and things like that. You're not going to find that in waitressing. And then in college, I would say I was way more disciplined than anybody who went to college straight out of high school, because again, I had that adult mindset where, I was saving the world, I was protecting bombs, and so my mentality was way more mature than someone straight out of high school going to college. So I was more focused. So I finished my education faster, for sure. And I knew exactly what I wanted. But then transition from that to like real corporate world. I mean, that to me was even worse, because it's about cutthroat, about dog eat dog world, It's more about, how can I get ahead and step on you? Whereas in the military wasn't that feeling. It was, how do I support you so that you can get where you want to go? Whereas in corporate life, you're running into people who are like, I'm just going to step on you because I need to go to the next level, or, I need to achieve it's more of the me world. I call it the me world in the corporate life,
Yeah, I would agree. I've done many corporate type jobs, and there was very few people that had that, hey, lift you up type spirit compared to that. And more bigger companies I worked, it was more like,
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I think the other thing too is you kind of get labeled and judged, a little bit. You kind of are judged on the fact that, I think some people see military people as more grunt and not smart people, like, oh, they just did a lot of grunt work. They, they didn't really do anything. And, and I think they miss the whole point of there's loyalty, there's hard work, there's determination, there's goals, and they're driven. Because I guess the one thing I was accused of in the corporate world, so that I ran up against that, I hit a wall on all the time. And this is why I love entrepreneurship, was I was always told, you're too tough, Kat. You're too hard on people. I'm like, really? I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm just asking people to do their job. Do you know what I mean? So I was told a lot that I was too tough or too hard. And again, I was a sales manager. So I'm going by, what I was groomed as through the military. I was groomed of, chain of command. If you're told to do some stuff, go do it. Just do it. It's not that hard. and nobody coddled me. You know, you're not being coddled in the military. And I think that might be a detriment. That might be, it's a plus because, you know, people in the military get stuff done because they're told to get it done and don't make any excuses, right? You get it done and figure it out and don't make excuses. So we're problem solvers. But the other thing in that same point is that when you go into the corporate world, now you're labeled as this tough, mean person because your expectation is they get it done, right? You expect that they're going to be problem solvers and they can get it done. And it's not that mentality in corporate America. You know, it's not at all. And so then, of course, you do bump heads or you're labeled as mean or tough. And, you know, at the end of the day, I have a lot of respect for people, but I don't have a tolerance for coddling because I was never coddled, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, that's the hardest part too. It's just like you go over and you project, like I go in the corporate situations and they just think you're like the corporate a-hole, you know, because you're just trying to go over and to push forward and you're not concerned about the promotion as much. You're concerned about the mission of the job. So
no, and that's exactly it. And I think a lot of military people run into that and probably don't figure that out until later. Because I know for me, my aha moment of, man, that's from the military. They think I'm mean and tough, but that's really just my work ethic. That's it. That's my work ethics from how I was groomed in the military. And I personally think everybody should serve, by the way. As soon as you get out of high school, I think everybody should serve because then everybody's work ethics would be the same. We would all align. We would know what to expect. And I think we would be probably a better society. I personally think. I'm running for president. Who's going to vote for me?
That's what it sounded like just for a second. And you do got the flag.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
I mean, you can get written in if you want. I mean, if they get enough write-ins, you know.
I don't know if I want to grow that many gray hairs that fast, you know.
Yeah, well, you're making that much money, you can just diet.
Okay. They seem a little stressed out, you know.
They do, just a tad.
Yeah.
So,
but you point out, like, you know, what are some of the highs and lows, and I think, you know, it's unfortunate that because I had such really good training in the military, that doesn't transfer to corporate America. It doesn't transfer very well to, you know, regular people work mentality, which is unfortunate because I think I excelled in corporate life because I was so driven and I knew my mission. I knew it, I had it down, and I went after it. When you use that and apply that against, you know, corporate society where they're a little more coddled or backstabbing, it doesn't mesh very well. And that's the other thing is brown nosing. I'm not good at brown nosing. I'm sorry. Just doesn't work for me. It doesn't. And I always hated that in corporate America is all the brown nosing. And, you know, I would rather you see my performance and judge me on that than for me to play this corporate game and, you know, to rise above the ranks, you know, it just didn't work for me.
So it sounds like you transformed a little bit and left the corporate sector. So what made you transform from war hero to superhero in serving our great community?
I think it was because I wanted to help other people that can relate to what I went through or that transitioned out of the corporate America and into entrepreneurship. I love being an entrepreneur. You know, I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm just so surprised I didn't do it sooner because it's a good fit for me. And you know, I hear a lot of veterans or, you know, ex-military people say that they can't, there's a word that they say or a phrase they say that they say they're not able to work with people or anything like that. But it's not really about that. They're so driven and structured that they have their own agenda. And so it's not really about the ability to work in the corporate world. It's more of the corporate world is just not going to adjust for how I want to achieve success. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's so much more than that. And so when you realize it or have that aha moment, and if you are ex-military or you're in the military now and you're thinking about what am I going to do next, I would highly suggest thinking about becoming an entrepreneur first, because it's such a good fit for veterans. I mean, just because we are so conditioned to have this agenda and have success. I mean, we will conquer, we will go and go and go and work at it and keep going at it and keep going at it until we can get it right. So success is ultimate. It is the ultimate thing, you know, because we're so conditioned to be prepared for it, I believe. So it is a really, really good fit for any veteran or anybody who is about to transition out. So you can try corporate America. You can. I did it for 27 years. It took me that long.
That's not a try.
I did it for so long until it just was counterintuitive for me. It just didn't, you know, what happened to me, and I'll kind of do this story quickly. I don't know how much time you have on this, but I'll give this story because this is a really good story. Is I kept pitching for the next position. Okay. And the last place I was in, not the very last, but the one before, I pitched 5 times for the next level up, 5 times. Okay. I followed my chain of command. I dotted my I's or, you know, whatever, you know what I mean? Crossed my T's, dotted my I's. Yeah. So I didn't brow nose enough. Okay. So that was what I was missing. I did not brow nose enough. And the lady that was supposed to approve my, you know, promotion didn't like me. She didn't like me, and she felt, you know, like I was a threat. And I think a lot of that was because I was driven and I was polished and poised, and I did my chain of command and I crossed my T's and dot my I's. And it's so unfortunate, you know, and that's what was my aha moment to get out. Because I said to myself, there's nobody that's going to control my life, my goals, my dreams. There's nobody ever, 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 ever. And so I decided to be an entrepreneur, and I had a game plan. So if you're going to transform or transition from, you know, war hero to superhero, make sure you have a plan. My suggestion is have a plan, because it will succeed. You can have success, but you got to have a plan.
I would agree. I only did 27 minutes in corporate America, and I was like this, and you did 27 years.
You did?
Well, I've had 70 jobs in 7 years, and so I didn't do as much time as you, but most of them were either contract or different things and whatnot. So I didn't have that. I saw the backstabbing so quick, I'm like, I'll stick to contract.
Yeah. Yeah. I know it's unfortunate, but that's just the way it goes, you know. And that's why I think a lot of people don't understand the whole relationships that military people have, or the way of thinking is different, or the mentality, just any of that stuff, you know. And I still have it today. Like, you know, I only put 4 years in. You put in more years. And I'm sure yours is like even more full force. You know what I mean? But it doesn't go away. It's there. It's ingrained in me, and I love it. I'm okay with that. I'm wearing my camel today.
I'm wearing my brand under my gear today. I'm still waiting for my new. So I'm usually all dressed up. It's like war hero, superhero underneath. You know, that type of brand. So I am branded. So. As a superhero, how do you help others to transform? So you jumped into entrepreneurship a few years ago, 6 seconds ago. I'm not sure how long, but how do you help others transform?
Very easily. So I have an affinity for veteran businesses. I have a super affinity. So I help anybody that I can in regards to getting started in their business, mentoring. I volunteer locally with the local Veterans Chamber. I also volunteer with the Boots to Straps. It's a program through the SBA. It's are you familiar with it?
Familiar with it briefly. I haven't jumped fully into it, but it's supposed to be a program that goes over and takes you from active duty to actually an entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
and the Small Business Association gives you like a platform and a mission type way to thrive.
Yeah, so they're really, really good, and they supply veterans that are either veterans or their spouses too, by the way, that are transitioning out or have already transitioned and can't find a job. So I volunteer and speak to those groups in workshops on what they can do to stand out. So I have a serious affinity for any veteran or veteran spouse business to help them in any way that I can. I'm always gracious. I'm always discounting if I need to. I mean, I know what it's like to start out. So, it's really, really hard when you first get started. And you need peers and you need mentors and you need resources. So anything that you can do to find and help and give back to me is a win-win-win. And I always try to give back. So, my affinity is to help those that are like me because I want them to be successful,
And that's truly awesome. So last thing that we talk about in our interview is 3 superhero tactics. So if you had to do it all over again, you do your 4 years, you're keeping people alive, you're pressing the right buttons, not pressing the wrong buttons and everything else, and that ETS comes up, what 3 tactics you wish that you were given when you got out so you could go over and be at this point today, maybe 27 years ago?
I think it would have been great to have a transition coach. I think that would have been great. I don't even know if there's a transition coach. I think they would be more or less like a business coach or a life coach. I think that one would be awesome, super awesome. And that could be easily an entrepreneurship opportunity for someone that is looking to help veterans, because that would have helped me. I'm still young when I came out. You know what I mean? I'm still young. I still had no idea what I wanted to do. And my decision to get out was kind of by accident because my goal was to be a lifer. It was to be a lifer. And because I did so well in college and I was like, I got the GI Bill. I was like, I just need to pursue this, So that would be one thing. Another thing would be is to, I think I was not prepared when I was ready to get out. So the other thing is having a plan and someone telling me to have a plan, because when I came out, I had no idea where I was going to live, what I was going to do, because I didn't move back home. I stayed put where I got out, right? Just like most people do. And I didn't really have a game plan. So I was just going to finish college and just go with whatever I was going to do, So that would be the second thing that I would suggest getting out. And then finally, surround yourself around the people that you want to do or be like. So if you're looking for entrepreneurship, surround yourself with a bunch of people that are entrepreneurs. If you're looking to get into college or some kind of program that is going to transition you to school to career, surround yourself with those people and get well informed, get more information than you need to have. So I would say the biggest thing is was not prepared when I got out. And I'm sure I'm not any different than a lot of other veterans. I was totally not prepared when I got out. It was almost like, okay, I'm out, now what?
Yeah, I agree with that. I was sort of prepared. I had a sort of plan, but it was like execution, wisdom, not spending money in places.
Right. Yeah.
I won't name companies I spend money in, and I was like, wow, I shouldn't have spent money there. But yeah, you just go over and so speaking of companies, I know I invest into this on a monthly basis. I want you to tell us a little bit about the companies that you go over and you help veterans with in the social media side. I think this is your first one.
Yeah. So when I first created my entrepreneurship, I started Advertise in 2014. the whole premise of starting Advertise was to help small businesses, and small business is a loose word because everybody identifies themselves differently on what is a small business. But when I saw, when my 27 years in corporate America selling television, was a lot of small businesses got ditched or pushed aside. So they didn't really have the resources that a normal big multi-billion-dollar company had. And so I really wanted to create an environment where they could go and ask questions, and it was transparent, and the pricing was there, and they can find out about options to utilize to grow their business. And that's how I created Advertise. So basically digital media, websites, logos, brands, social media, and what have you. That's basically what we did for that.
And very affordable too.
Yes, of course. Of course.
So, and then this next one, like hashtag social buzz, is this very similar? Are they like brother, sister companies?
Yeah, so hashtag social buzz evolved this year and pre-pandemic, which is weird, ironic. So the gods were aligned for me. I don't know how that happened. And so basically what was happening was smaller businesses like solopreneurs and really small businesses, independent contractors, multi-level marketers, things like that. They were coming to me and they were like, Kat, do you have anything a lot more affordable than what you have with Advertise? And I said, you know what, I need to come up with a plan. And that's how we came up with hashtag social buzz, with the $99 social media strategic posting every day for businesses. And it really has taken off for the fact that it is a great product for anybody who has either a huge following and they can't keep up with putting content out there, or B, they are too busy to post for themselves, and they cannot put content out there. And then the other one that we use hashtag social buzz for too is we have clients that white label us. So they use it for their clients and they start their boutique agency, which I'm happy to help anybody get started on their own boutique agency. And they use hashtag social buzz as a revenue stream. So they could be, let's say, for instance, they're a graphic designer and that's their niche. And they want to get into social media because they're doing graphic design. It's a natural fit. Why wouldn't they, right? So they use our social buzz as a white label program, sell social media, and then they use their design as some of the content. So it really is a win-win-win for companies, because it's affordable too. If you think about the price point, I always tell my clients, I'm like, you can't get social media for $99 a month. I mean, this is like crazy, ridiculously cheap,
No, it is. It's $1,200 a month for one person in Scottsdale to mirror my life and be me and post like 5 to 7 times a day. And it's like, I consider it valuable, but it's not affordable to me now. So I'm like, that's why I'm like, hey, I can go over and use this and get posts twice a day and then grow that engagement organically and practically.
Right, exactly. So hashtag social buzz has really taken off because of the pandemic, because a lot of businesses have gone digital that never have been digital before, or they have seen that, hey, social media is like busting at the seams. I need to be there. I need to be seen. I need to be there, and so each platform is different too. So, what am I a fan of? I love LinkedIn. LinkedIn has been, gracious to us. I'm also a big fan of Facebook. Facebook's been awesome for us, Instagram is great for a lot of our clients, and then there's Pinterest and Twitter. I don't think there's any more. Is there? Maybe somebody else.
Let's see, maybe Facebook, YouTube, you got Pinterest, you got Twitch, which I'm using right now. That's where we're streaming through. We're streaming to Roku, we're streaming to the EasyWay wall, and then you have your third party. There's actually about 500 social media websites. Just those are the major ones. Yeah.
Wow. But it also depends on who you're targeting too, right?
No, definitely, definitely. I'm like, I mean, that's the reason why you got to find where your ideal client lives because I'm like, after this, I'm like, if I find military people somewhere else, I think my StreamYard's going to bust at the seams. I'm already doing 7 locations, and I'm very thankful for StreamYard and for you introducing me into StreamYard because I was just doing like, I do this live, and then I would
Right.
do this live, and then I would do this live, and I'm like, I've done 7 lives. This is nuts.
Right. Plus, don't you love that you can add the graphics and stuff? I mean, that's another part benefit to the StreamYard. It is wonderful to have the graphics, you know?
Yep, the graphics, the banners, you can do commercials in there if the videos are less than 5 minutes. We also do TV through here. So if people are watching and they're watching this on the social media, we do a TV show every week at 7:30 through the Easy Way Network. And we're eventually transitioning to Simul TV, which is a bigger platform.
Oh, nice.
And you can easily take your whole business from podcast or social media to television with one software. And then your company helps out great with the social media side to make that advertising happen at the same time.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep. So I want to thank you for going over and joining with us, and also our guests that are watching across all 7 platforms. And if you want to take Katherine's message to television, all she has to do is get a view from you. So in 3 seconds of watching a video, the one person watching right now, and it keeps vacillating how many people are watching. If you're on there even for 3 seconds, you have given a view. If you can give her a view, that'd be great. We would love for you to catch the whole entire 31 minutes and 32 seconds and counting. But if you can't have that time, but you want to support Katherine, give her 3 seconds in the next 3 days. And if she gets the most views in those 3 days, she'll get uplifted to television. She has some competition there, so definitely got to skyrocket. It's about 300 on the last video that we did with Rochelle. So okay. Rochelle's in the pack. So it's your job, Katherine, to go over and get those views. We be unbiased. We don't share anywhere else because we shared enough. 7 places is enough. But yes, take that 3 seconds to give her a view, and then she'll be uplifted to the TV show, which we're getting about 10 to 14,000 people actively watching a day and growing. So if you want to be uplifted, that is your challenge. And for our audience to actually go over and listen, because one day you could be one of those people on TV.
No, that's awesome. I will definitely share it. That's a great challenge. I love that.
Yep. So any last comments before we close out for the day?
No, I do appreciate you, Daniel, having me as a guest. I love the show. I catch you whenever I can. And yeah, I have some recommendations of people I think you should interview.
That would be awesome. So we will catch you guys on the flip side in another episode of War Hero Superhero tomorrow at 6. Thank you.